My search for superhumans has brought me here, to Hollywood. But where I'm going is a world away from the bright lights of the movies, because I'm going into the darkness. It's really dark down here and really creepy. And if I didn't have my torch, I'd probably bang my head on one of these jagged rocks. To see down here without a light, you need some sort of incredible night vision or the powers of a superhero. A superhero like Daredevil. Though blind, Daredevil's incredible sonar sense gives him powers far beyond sighted people. Well, I've heard of a real-life Daredevil, a blind man who defies science, a man who uses an ability that we thought only existed in the animal kingdom.
After losing his sight completely as a child, American Juan Ruiz did something amazing. With incredible determination, he set out to teach himself to see with sound, just like bats and dolphins do. Juan's astonishing ability is way beyond human capabilities. So is Juan a real-life superhuman?
And here he is. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a great pleasure to meet you as well.
Can I turn off this light and ask you to navigate us out of here? Could you do that?
I had no idea you even had a light.
Because you are completely blind, is that right?
That's correct. I do not see anything at all. Because what I have actually done is I have trained my brain to see by using sound.
That's absolutely incredible. I'm going to turn it off now. There we go.
All right.
Now you get us out of here.
Excellent. Follow me.
Okay. Ah, Juan, you've got me back outside again. That's good news.
Sure is.
Now, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you to take part in 3 super tests to test your superhuman abilities. A superhuman versus... well, it's me. Versus me. Are you on for that?
Oh, I'm excited. Let's do it.
Okay, let's get started.
Let's do it.
This is Dr. Megan John. She's an expedition doctor and has kept people alive in some of the most dangerous environments. She's devised 3 super tests to discover how Tim and Juan react differently without their eyesight. For Super Test 1, Dr. Megan has brought Tim and Juan to Los Angeles, California. It's the home of Hollywood, where the biggest movies on the planet are made, and a city where the sun always shines. But it's fair to say that this test has a real dark side.
So, guys, for my Super Test 1, I've brought you here to this real-live Hollywood film studio.
Awesome.
I want to see how the 2 of you manage to navigate your way around in complete dark.
Oh, that sounds easy.
It's not quite as simple as it seems.
Oh, it never is.
It certainly isn't, because they'll have to get from one side of this special Hollywood set to the other in total darkness and without touching any of the props. Moving around in complete darkness can be extremely dangerous. Now, there aren't any Hollywood supervillains hiding in there, but any obstacle in the dark can do serious damage. And these props are almost impossible to avoid without sight. Some are low, while others are hanging from the ceiling. Tim and Juan are at risk of tripping and falling, so they'll need helmets and padding. But that's not all Dr. Megan is going to ask them to wear.
OK, so, Tim, when you've put on all your safety equipment, I'm going to be fitting the 2 of you with your blindfolds.
Oh, but I have my permanent blindfold on already.
But unfortunately, this is a scientific experiment, so anything I do to Tim, I also need to do the same to you.
All right, that makes sense.
I'm going to be recording 3 pieces of data. I'll be timing you, seeing how long it takes you to complete the challenge. I'll also be recording how many objects you knock into. And finally, I'm interested in seeing how hard your brain is having to work to complete this test. So I'll be fitting the 2 of you with these special headbands, which will record the electrical waves that your brain sends out. You both ready to go?
Yes. Yeah, let's do it.
OK.
When you're plunged into total darkness, your first instinct is to use touch to navigate. So you'll stretch out your arms to feel for things in front of you. You'll become scared and disorientated, and you'll walk in circles. Because your eyes can't help you balance, you'll begin to walk in a crouching position to be lower to the ground in case you fall. You could fall or bump into things and get a nasty cut, or bruise yourself on a hard object. The worst case is that you could hit your head and develop concussion, and concussion can be fatal. Because there's no light in the room, we're filming this test with special cameras that can see in the dark.
OK, Tim, in you go.
OK. Super Test 1. Find the curtain. Oh, that's a funny old thing. That's obviously an inflatable thing.
Not a good start for enters the room and immediately collides with an inflatable column.
Ow. Oh, that's something else.
So he's put his arms out and he's feeling his way around. Try and give him some more idea of where he's going.
Going forward now. Ow, something else. What's that? See, I'm hearing something. Oh, no, that's gone.
Because Tim can't see, he's relying more heavily on his ears, picking up sounds from the room around him.
Oh, hang on.
Sound reaches the ears in waves, which are channeled inside your ear by the bit on the outside called the pinna. Once inside the ear, the sound waves hit your eardrum, making it vibrate. These vibrations travel to your inner ear, which sends signals to the brain. Your brain then works out what the sound is and where it's coming from. Sound waves bounce off hard surfaces, which is why we can hear echoes, especially in places with hard walls. So how is Tim getting on without his sight?
There's something there. That's another one of those crazy columns.
He's looking a little bit confused.
That can't be the first column, can it?
He's quite disorientated by this experiment.
Oh, that's something there. That's a small foam cube.
Tim is supposed to be avoiding the obstacles, but instead he's touching all of them.
What's that? Oh, that's balloons.
He's also lowering his centre of gravity, spreading his legs out to keep himself stable.
Ah, that's a corner. I've hit a corner in the room. Right, that's not a good sign. So let's just try and work this out.
So Tim's really disorientated. He's actually quite near the finish point, but he's got no idea anymore. So he's now walking back into the middle of the room.
Could just be going around in circles.
Your eyesight is extremely important for you to work out where you are and which direction you're going in. As you pass objects, your eyes send images to the visual cortex in your brain, where they are placed on a mental map. When you turn left or right, your brain uses objects you can see to work out how much you've turned. But without your eyesight, your brain finds it difficult to tell how far you've turned or whether you've been there before. I wonder if Tim's managed to get his bearings yet.
That's another wall. That's not a curtain. Ow. There's that rock again. Hang on.
Tim is now back at the start, but will he even notice?
There's another... Either that's the same rock again, or I really am going around in circles.
He's now right back at the beginning where it had gone.
Now, this is where I came in.
I think he's probably feeling a bit disappointed.
OK, let's try this again. And going round the rock, forward.
The longer he goes without hitting an obstacle, because he knows I've put obstacles in there, it's almost like the more apprehensive he gets.
There's the ball.
When he reaches an obstacle, particularly one he's seen before, his brainwave activity does go a bit lower. The longer Tim's in the room, the more this becomes an experiment about how good his memory is, rather than how good he is at using his senses.
Oh, wow, that's a tree. I've not found that before.
And you can see that as soon as that happened, the brainwave activity went up. As soon as he knows it's a safe thing that's not going to hurt him, it relaxes back down again.
Oh, that's new as well. That's a fairly solid object.
When he hit the rock, there was a peak in the brainwave activity. He's now reached a road sign. There was another peak.
OK, so this is an area we've not been in before.
He doesn't realise it, but the finish is just one step to his left now.
That's a curtain.
He's just hit the end, so I'm just going to go and get him out.
Now, is that a different curtain?
Tim,
No
it's the
column.
right curtain.
It's the right curtain.
It's the right curtain.
I've made it. I've found the curtain.
You've made it.
How exciting is that? I think I went round in circles a lot.
I'm going to take your blindfold off, OK?
OK.
Now, the bright lights will be a bit much for you to get used
Yeah,
to.
I might have to take a second on that.
Keep your eyes closed for a minute.
Ow. That's not very nice. Oh, wow. That's really bright. Oh. I'm there. There we go. Yeah, I can see you now.
Tim did indeed walk around in circles. He took 7 minutes to cross the room and touched 30 objects.
Oh, that's new as well.
The results of Megan's mind band shows that Tim found the whole experience challenging and disorientating. Juan is up next. Will he be able to use his amazing abilities to complete this challenge?
OK, in you go.
All right, well, I know two things about what I'm about to do, and that is that I'm going through one curtain and then coming out on the other end through another curtain.
Immediately, Juan starts making a clicking noise, and incredibly ducks under a lampshade as if he could see it. But he can't. Is this noise something to do with Juan's superhuman skills?
Now, remember, Juan hasn't seen any of these obstacles either. Tim was frightened that the obstacles were going to hurt him. Juan's walking around quite quickly.
That doesn't sound like a curtain.
Juan cannot see the wall and has not touched it, yet he knows it's not a curtain. How's he doing this?
You'll notice that the most obvious difference between his approach and Tim's is that Tim immediately put his hands up to protect himself. Juan's got his hands down by his side and is very relaxed.
Fine, fine, fine.
He's just made the curtain. I'm just going to go and get him out.
Juan completed Super Test 1 in an incredible 1 minute 50 seconds and touched only one object. Remember, it took Tim 5 minutes longer and he touched 30 objects. Juan's mind band results show that he found this ridiculously easy. So how's he doing it?
When you stepped into the room, you paused for a moment and started making these funny noises. What was that?
I was clicking. I was making a click sound such as... so that I can get my orientation, because that click bounces off of the walls that are all over the room, so I get the dimensions of the room.
What Juan is describing is something called echolocation. It's a way of using sound waves to see, just as bats and dolphins do. When you make a noise, the sound waves come out of your mouth and spread all around you. They hit objects and are bounced back to your ears. Like this. These are called echoes. Your brain usually ignores the echoes from your own voice, but Juan's brain is different. Juan has learnt to use echoes from his clicking noise to work out where objects are and what shape they are. Every click allows Juan to see an object with his ears, but only while the echo lasts. For the second super test, Dr. Megan has taken Tim and Juan out of Hollywood and down to one of the busiest piers in the world at Santa Monica.
For my Super Test 2, I want to study Juan's echolocating abilities still further. So I want to see if the two of you can identify objects when you go past them just by using the way they reflect sound waves. And I want to see how you do that in a real live situation.
In this super test, Juan and Tim will have to correctly identify 5 objects on the pier, and once again they will be blindfolded. These objects will be big, small, hard and soft, so Tim is going to need some help.
Go ahead and click.
Oh, that's really gone.
Yeah.
And it's not just because it's down below. I can really...
It's gone. It's not there. It's not at the face level where it is at now. The sound is not bouncing directly off of it.
When you are clicking, you really can feel that there's something coming back at you. But when it's not there, I know that there's nothing coming back at me.
Tim's beginning to get the hang of it, but there's still a great danger that he'll get a nasty bump from a hard object. And there's enough noise and bustle out there to really confuse him.
From Super Test 1, I saw how incredible, Juan, your ability to avoid bumping into things was. So I don't think you need to do this test in protective gear. Tim, you, on the other hand, full safety equipment, please.
OK.
So, we've asked Tim and Juan to identify exactly the same objects along one of the busiest piers in the world, just from the way they sound. Tim's up first.
Stop where you are. OK, now slightly to your right is an object I'd like you to try and identify.
Yeah, it's that. Oh, there's... Yeah, that's there. I've touched that with my elbow.
Unable to find the position quick enough, Tim has touched the bin before he's even clicked. Tim will not be allowed to guess this one.
Normally, to identify an object, you'd use sight, but as well as that, you'd use your other senses, smell, touch and hearing. I've taken away his sight, which is the easiest one to use. So Tim's exhibiting exactly what I would expect a normal human reaction to be, and to try and utilise all the other senses. He can't help but try and put his hands out and get feel and touch to give him an idea.
And who can blame him? Touch is one of our most important senses after all. Your skin is covered in nerve cells called receptors that send messages to your brain whenever your skin touches something. There are 3 types of receptors, some for temperature, some for pressure and some for pain. When you touch an object with your fingers, your pressure sensors can help you decide if it's hard or soft and what shape it is. Your temperature sensors tell you if the object is hot or cold. This is how you can tell what things are made of. Now it's time for Juan's go at the bin. Even though he's totally blind, Juan has agreed to wear the blindfold again, just to keep the test the same for him and Tim.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's listen to this thing, see what it is. Ooh, wow.
Juan immediately finds the object while it's still almost half a metre away from him.
When Tim was doing this, he was exhibiting exactly what I expect a human to do. Putting his hands out. He couldn't help himself but try to use some touch.
A trash can.
Ah!
It's nice and round.
So
and
quick.
It's got the height of
A trash can.
a trash can. Exactly. Yes.
Really impressive, sir.
Next challenge, a vendor's booth selling T-shirts.
I've hit something with my head. That's probably not a good sign.
Once again, Tim has collided with the object before finding it with his clicks.
This doesn't seem as solid.
Juan's told us that not only can he orientate how large an object is using these echo location techniques, but the density of them, so that is how hard it is or how soft it is, changes the way the sound waves reflected back.
Okay, that's the other edge. So there's edges here. Oh, no, maybe. It's difficult because it seems to be the sound isn't...
Okay. Tim, let's move on now from this one. Like I said, you've done really...
Tim didn't manage to identify this one either. How will Juan deal with such a large, soft object?
Oh, yes, I hear it. Okay, so let's
Okay, I'll let you
study
do your
this
thing.
obstacle. Well, it's taller than me, but that's not too hard because I'm rather short.
This time, Juan hears the object while he's over a metre away.
So straight away, before I even positioned him near it, he said, oh yeah, I hear it.
Oh my God.
It's not making
What is
any
this?
noise. It's him hearing back those clicks.
Well, see, this object is interesting because it's not very solid.
Different objects reflect sound waves in different ways. If you were to tap on a box, you could tell if it was hollow or solid, or if it was made of metal or wood, simply by the sound it made. Amazingly, Juan's brain is able to do this just by using the echoes of his click. Juan's brain detects how the sound of the echo has changed to work out what the objects are made of. Hard objects reflect more sound than soft objects. And Juan's brain can detect the tiniest changes.
I would, I would have to say that this is a vendor's booth. All right.
Amazing.
Juan is, of course, completely right again.
About a foot in front of you is your next object that I'd like you to identify.
Because Tim can't see, he's finding it hard to judge how far away the objects are in this test. Will he be able to avoid touching this one?
Now, of course, you have touched it a few times, so...
Yeah, I can feel there's something like the leaves and maybe like plastic crazy foliage. I don't really know how to do this, so my ability to get how close it is quite difficult. So sometimes I nudge the object when I don't mean to, but like I've just done it there.
if you nudge the object, you get...
I get some information
feeling,
about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Step forward. Again, and stop there. It's just about 30 centimetres in front.
Oh, let's see. It sounds like a bush.
Right one. You have made my test look too easy.
The next object is a fire hydrant, and Tim has found it with his stick.
Oh, there's something there.
But can he work out what it is with his click? His hand's all over it. He can't help it. He won't prove anything in this test, even if he guesses what it is.
Some sort of post.
Time for Juan to try. Remember, he uses just his hearing and he doesn't touch the object, so it's a little trickier for him.
Oh, wow. I would say this is a chair.
Okay, so about the height of a chair, right?
Well, it's not just the height, because the height comes up to about here. But then there's something here that is more flat, and then the back goes up.
Okay.
So
all right.
I think it's a chair.
Right.
Because Juan uses sound waves to create an image, he thinks that the barrier behind the post and the box next to it are all part of the same thing, which does actually resemble the shape of a chair. So I think we can let him off with this one. Time for the next object.
This is really interesting. Although it was straight in front of him, he's moved to the side. I'm not sure if he's got any idea of that.
Tim's shoulder has just touched the lamppost. He's not going to be allowed to guess this one either now. Juan's go next, but will the shape of the railing put him off again?
Well, it's very thin, and it's right next to the railing right here. But I can put my hand straight through here, right behind it.
When Tim was putting things forward, he was just touching everything. Juan was able to demonstrate beautifully, not touching a thing.
I would say something like a light pole. I just have no idea, but I'll say a light pole.
You have no idea, but you're guessing a
it's a pole.
lamppost.
It's some type of pole.
Juan has guessed correctly an incredible 4 out of 5 objects on Santa Monica Pier using only sound.
It sounds like a bush.
And although Tim made a great attempt, he just couldn't get over his instinct to touch. His hands just got in the way, as did his mouth. Dr. Megan's Super Test 3 is taking place in Irving Park, California, and it's going to be one of the most dangerous yet.
Juan has told me he can do something absolutely incredible. He can mountain bike without sight.
That's unreal. That's absolutely incredible. Completely terrifying.
It's exhilarating for sure.
Mountain biking is all about riding tough bikes over even tougher terrain. It requires endurance, strength and balance. Risk of injury from falls and collisions is high in the sport of mountain biking, from minor wounds to serious damage to the head and spine.
Even sighted mountain biking can be very dangerous. If you were to fall off, you could cut yourself, break bones, even knock yourselves out. So I've had to take a lot of safety precautions today. I've got Robin, an expert mountain biker who'll be leading your way down the trail. I've got Corey with all her medical equipment and expertise on standby. And Tim, because you've not done this before, I'm going to ask you to have a practice away from the trail first.
OK.
So, guys, let's give it a go.
Let's go.
OK.
Worried that Tim will seriously injure himself, Dr. Megan asked 2 members of the film crew to run alongside him. But even with a team of people helping, Tim almost collides with a tree.
I don't think it would be safe for Tim to do the trail course that we've set up for you.
It doesn't sound like it. It seems like he'd need a lot more practice.
I agree.
This super test is just 2 days for Tim to try, so it looks like Juan will be doing it on his own. In this test, Juan will be cycling blindfolded for 1 kilometre along the twists, turns and steep drops of this mountain forest track. Using his ears, he'll be following the bike in front, which will be making a loud clicking sound. Remember, Juan is totally blind, so the blindfold makes no difference to him. It's simply being worn to keep him under test conditions. Cycling blindfolded downhill is incredibly dangerous. Actually, it's totally impossible. Let's face it, you will come off your bike. When this happens, you could cut or bruise yourself. You could even break a bone. If you hit a tree at speed, you could break your neck or back. Or you might fall off a steep slope and crack your head on a rock. And serious head injuries are fatal.
OK, Juan, so here we are at the start line. It's a really tricky course. I can't wait to see how you get on. You ready to go?
Ready.
Off you go.
Let's go.
Juan sets off down the hazardous track completely blind. For a sighted person, even attempting this blindfolded would be unthinkable. Although he is listening out for the lead bike, he is still using his own click to help him navigate the course. Juan takes the first corner with ease, but remember, this is just the first of many corners and dips. This course could be lethal. As Juan begins to pick up speed, it's hard to believe that he cannot see anything. He is doing this incredible feat using only his hearing. As he approaches a hairpin bend, Juan almost comes off the track, but he quickly recovers. What Juan is doing would be too dangerous for someone without his skill and experience to try. This is incredible. Another tight corner, and Juan takes it with ease. Watching how effortlessly Juan does this, it's hard to believe that he can't see. This road may be straight, but there's a serious drop to Juan's right. He's on the home straight now, and Dr. Megan and Tim are waiting to cheer him over the finish line.
Wow, that's it. That's amazing.
Congratulations!
Juan has finished this course in just over 3 minutes, making his average speed a very impressive 20 kilometres an hour. Juan Ruiz can identify the world around him by seeing with sound. Incredibly, he does this even in the most extreme conditions. There's no doubt, he is superhuman.
That was simply amazing, what you just did. You've developed your hearing to superhuman levels with what you do with it. I came here to meet a real live daredevil. I've met him. It's you.